Google Privacy Policy, effective July 1st, 2021. Read by Jim Como on July 18th, 2021. When you use our services, you're trusting us with your information. We understand this is a big responsibility and work hard to protect your information and put you in control. This privacy policy is meant to help you understand what information we collect, why we collect it, and how you can update, manage, export, and delete your information. Introduction to Google Privacy Policy. We build a range of services that help millions of people daily to explore and interact with the world in new ways. Our services include Google apps, sites, and devices like Search, YouTube, and Google Home, platforms like the Chrome browser and Android operating system, products that are integrated into third-party apps and sites like ads and embedded Google Maps. You can use our services in a variety of ways to manage your privacy. For example, you can sign up for a Google account if you want to create and manage content like emails and photos, or see more relevant search results. And you can use many Google services when you're signed out or without creating an account at all, like searching on Google or watching YouTube videos. You can also choose to browse the web privately using Chrome in incognito mode. And across our services, you can adjust your privacy settings to control what we collect and how your information is used. To help explain things as clearly as possible, we've added examples, explanatory videos, and definitions for key terms. And if you have any questions about this privacy policy, you can contact us, and then they will provide a link. We want you to understand the types of information as we collect as you use our services. Information Google collects. We collect information to provide better services to all our users, from figuring out basic stuff like which language you speak, to more complex things like which ads you find the most useful, the people who matter most to you online, or which YouTube videos you might like. The information Google collects and how that information is used depends on how you use our services and how you manage your privacy controls. When you're not signed into a Google account, we store information we collect with unique identifiers tied to the browser, application, or device you're using. This helps us do things like maintain your language preferences across browsing sessions. When you're signed in, we also collect information. Start over. When you're signed in, we also collect information that we store with your Google account, which we treat as personal information. Things you create or provide to us. When you create a Google account, you provide us with personal information that includes your name and password. You can also choose to add a phone number or payment information to your account. Even if you aren't signed into a Google account, you might choose to provide us with information, like your email address, to receive updates about our services. We also collect the content you create, upload, or receive from others when using our services. This includes things like email you write and receive, photos and videos you save, docs and spreadsheet you create, and comments you make on YouTube videos. Information we collect as you use our services. Your apps, browsers, and devices. We collect information about the apps, browsers, and devices you use to access Google services, which helps us to provide features like automatic product updates and dimming your screen if your battery is low. The information we collect includes unique identifiers, browser types and settings, device type and settings, operating system, mobile network information including carrier name and phone number, and application version number. We also collect information about the interaction of your apps, browsers, and devices with our services, including IP address, crash reports, system activity, and the date, time, and referral of your request. We collect this information when a Google service on your device contacts our service. For example, when you install an app from the Play Store, or when a service checks for automatic updates. If you're using an Android device with Google Apps, your device periodically contacts Google services to provide information about your device in connection to our services. This information includes things like your device type, carrier name, crash reports, and which apps you've installed. Your activity. We collect information about your activity in our services, which we do things like recommend a YouTube video you might like. The activity information we collect may include terms you search for, videos you watch, views and interaction with content and ads, voice and audio information when you use audio features, purchase activity, people with whom you communicate or share content, activity on third-party sites and apps that use our services, Chrome browsing history you synced with your Google account. If you use our services to make and receive calls or send and receive messages, we may collect call and message log information like your phone number, calling party phone number, receiving party phone number, forwarding numbers, sender and email address, sender and recipient email address, time and date of calls and messages, duration of calls, routing information, and types and volume of calls and messages. You can visit your Google account to find and manage activity information that's saved in your account. Your local information. We collect information about your location when you use our services, which helps us offer features like driving directions for your weekend getaway or showtimes for movies playing near you. Your location can be determined with varying degrees of accuracy by GPS, IP address, sensor data from your device, information about things near your device, such as Wi-Fi access points, cell towers, and Bluetooth-enabled devices. The types of location data we collect depend in part on your device and account settings. For example, you can turn your Android's device location on and off using the device's settings app. You can also turn on location history if you want to create a private map of where you go with your signed-in devices. In some circumstances, Google also collects information about you from publicly accessible sources. For example, if your name appears in your local newspaper, Google's search engine may index that article and display it to other people if they search for your name. We may also collect information about you from trusted partners, such as directory services who provide us with business information to be displayed on Google services, marketing partners who provide us with information about potential customers of our business services, and security partners who provide us with information to protect against abuse. We also receive information from advertisers to provide advertising and research services on their behalf. We use various technologies to collect and store information, including cookies, pixel tags, local storage, such as browser web storage or application data caches, databases, and server logs. Why Google collects data. We use data to build better services. We use the information we collect from all our services for the following purposes. Provide our services. We use your information to deliver our services by processing the terms you search for in order to return results, or helping you share content by suggesting recipients from your contacts. Maintain and improve our services. We also use your information to ensure our services are working as intended, such as tracking outages or troubleshooting issues that you report to us. And we use your information to make improvements to our services. For example, understanding which search terms are most frequently misspelled will help us improve spell check features used across our services. Develop new services. We use the information we collect in existing services to help us develop new ones. For example, understanding how people organize their photos in Picasa, Google's first photo app, helped us design and launch Google Photos. Provide personalized services, including content and ads. We use the information we collect to customize our services for you, including providing recommendations, personalized contacts, and customized search results. For example, Security Checkup, link provided here, provides security tips adapted to how you use Google products. And Google Play uses information like apps you've already installed and videos you've watched on YouTube to suggest new apps you might like. Depending on your settings, we may also show you personalized ads based on your interest. For example, if you search for mountain bikes, you may see an ad for sports equipment when you're browsing a site that shows ads served by Google. You can control what information we use to show you ads by visiting your ad settings. We don't show you personalized ads based on sensitive categories, such as race, religion, sexual orientation, or health. We don't show you personalized ads based on your content from Drive, Gmail, or Photos. We don't share information that personally identifies you with advertisers, such as your name and email, unless you ask us to. For example, if you see an ad for a nearby flower shop and select the Tap to Call button, we'll connect your call and may share your phone number with the flower shop. Measure performance. We use data for analytics and measurement to understand how our services are used. For example, we analyze data about your visits to our sites and do things like optimize product design. We also use data about the ads you interact with to help advertisers understand the performance of their ad campaigns. We use a variety of tools to do this, including Google Analytics. When you visit sites that use Google Analytics, a Google Analytics customer may choose to enable Google to link information about your activity from that site with activity from other sites that use our ad services. Communicate with you. We use information we collect, like your email address, to interact with you directly. For example, we may send you a notification if we detect suspicious activity, like an attempt to sign into your Google account from an unusual location. Or we may let you know about upcoming changes or improvements to our services. And if you contact Google, we'll keep a record of your request in order to help solve any issues you might be facing. Protect Google, our users, and the public. We use information to help improve safety and reliability of our services. This includes detecting, preventing, and responding to fraud, abuse, security risks, and technical issues that could harm Google, our users, or the public. We use different technologies to process your information for these services. We use automated systems that analyze your content to provide you with things like customized search results, personalized ads, or other features tailored to how you use our services. And we analyze your content to help us detect abuse such as spam, malware, and illegal content. We also use algorithms to recognize patterns in data. For example, Google Translate helps people communicate across languages by detecting common language patterns and phrases you asked it to translate. We may combine the information we collect among our services and across your devices for the purposes described above. For example, if you watch videos of guitar players on YouTube, you might see an ad for guitar lessons on a site that uses our ad products. Depending on your account settings, your activity on other sites and apps may be associated with your personal information in order to improve Google services and the ads delivered by Google. If other users already have your email address or other information that identifies you, we may show them your publicly visible Google account information, such as your name and photo. This helps people identify an email coming from you, for example. We'll also ask for your consent for using your information for purposes that isn't covered in this privacy policy. Your privacy controls. You have choices regarding the information we collect and how it's used. This section describes key controls for managing your privacy across our services. You can also visit the Privacy Checkup, a link provided here, which provides an opportunity to review and adjust important privacy settings. In addition to these tools, we also offer specific privacy settings in our products. You can learn more in our product privacy guide. Managing, reviewing, and updating your information. When you're signed in, you can always review and update information by visiting the services you use. For example, Photos and Drive are both designed to help you manage specific types of content you save with Google. We also built a place for you to review and control information saved in your Google account. Your Google account includes privacy controls, activity controls. Decide what types of activity you'd like saved in your account. For example, you can turn on location history if you want traffic predictions for your daily commute, or you can save your YouTube watch history to get better video suggestions. Ad settings. Manage your preferences about the ads shown to you on Google and on sites and apps that partner with Google to show ads. You can modify your interests, choose whether your personal information is used to make ads more relevant to you, and to turn on and off certain advertising services. About you. Control what others see about you across Google services. Shared endorsements. Choose whether your name and photo appear next to your activity, like reviews and recommendations that appear in ads. Ways to review and update your information. My Activity. My Activity allows you to review and control data that's created when you use Google services, like searches you've done or video visits to Google Play. You can browse by date and by topic and delete part or all of your activity. Google Dashboard. Google Dashboard allows you to manage information associated with different specific products. Your personal information. Manage your contact information, such as your name, email, and phone number. When you're signed out, you can manage information associated with your browser and device, including signed out search personalization. Choose whether your search activity is used to offer you more relevant results and recommendations. YouTube settings. Pause and delete your YouTube search history and your YouTube watch history. Ad settings. Manage your preferences about the ads shown to you on Google and on sites and apps that partner with Google's to show ads. Exporting, removing, and deleting your information. You can export a copy of your content in your Google account if you want to back it up or use it with a service outside of Google. You can also request to remove content from specific Google services based on applicable law. To delete your content, you can delete your content from specific Google services, search for and then delete specific items for your account using My Activity. They give a link to that function. Delete specific Google products, including your information associated with those products, or delete your entire Google account, and a link is provided here. And finally, Inactive Account Manager allows you to give someone else access to parts of your Google account in case you're unexpectedly unable to use your account. There are other ways to control the information Google collects, whether or not you're signed in to a Google account, including browser settings. For example, you can configure your browser to indicate when Google has set a cookie in your browser. You can also configure your browser to block all cookies from a specific domain, or all domains. But remember that our services rely on cookies to function properly, for things like remembering your language references. Device level settings. Your device may have controls that determine what information we collect. For example, you can modify location settings on your Android device. Sharing your information. When you share your information, many of our services let you share information with other people, and you have control over how you share. For example, you can share videos on YouTube publicly, or you can decide to keep your videos private. Remember, when you share information publicly, your content may become accessible through search engines, including Google Search. When you are signed in and interact with some Google services, leaving comments on a YouTube video or reviewing an app in play, your name and photo appear next to your activity. We may also display information in ads depending on your shared endorsement setting. When Google shares your information, we do not share your personal information with companies, organizations, or individuals outside of Google except in the following cases. With your consent. We'll share personal information outside of Google when we have your consent. For example, if you use Google Home to make a reservation through booking services, we'll get your permission before sharing your name and phone number with the restaurant. We'll ask for your explicit consent to share any sensitive personal information. With domain administrators. If you're a student or work for an organization that uses Google services, your domain administrator and resellers who manage your account will have Google access to your Google account. They may be able to access and retain information stored in your account, like your email. View statistics regarding your account, like how many apps you install. Change your account password. Suspend or terminate your account access. Receive your account information in order to satisfy applicable law, regulation, legal process, or enforceable government requests. Restrict your ability to delete or edit information or your privacy settings. For external processing, we provide personal information to our affiliates and other trusted businesses or persons to process it for us, based on our instructions and in compliance with our privacy policy and any other appropriate confidentiality and security measures. For example, we use service providers to help us with customer support. For legal reasons, we will share personal information outside of Google if we have a good faith belief that access, use, preservation, or disclosure of the information is reasonably necessary to meet any applicable law, regulation, legal process, or enforceable governmental request. We share information about the number and type of requests we receive from governments in our transparency report. Link provided here. Enforce applicable terms of service, including investigation of potential violations. Detect, prevent, or otherwise address fraud, security, or technical issues. Protect against harm to the rights, property, or safety of Google, our users, or the public as required or permitted by law. We may share non-personally identifiable information publicly and with our partners, like publishers, advertisers, developers, or rights holders. For example, we share information publicly to show trends about the general use of our services. We also allow specific partners to collect information from your browser or device for advertising and measurement purposes using their own cookies or similar technologies. If Google is involved with a merger, acquisition, or sale of assets, we'll continue to ensure the confidentiality of your personal information and give affected users notice before personal information is transferred or becomes subject to a different privacy policy. Keeping your information secure. We build security into our services to protect your information. All Google products are built with strong security features that continuously protect your information. The insights we gain from maintaining our services helped us detect and automatically block security threats from ever reaching you. And if we do detect something risky that we think that you should know about, we'll notify you and help guide you through steps to stay better protected. We work hard to protect you in Google from unauthorized access, alteration, disclosure, or destruction of information we hold, including we use encryption to keep your data private while in transit. We offer a range of security features like safe browsing, security checkup, and two-step verification to help protect your account. We review our information collection, storage, and processing practices, including physical security measures, to prevent unauthorized access to our systems. We restrict access to personal information to Google employees, contractors, and agents who need that information in order to process it. Anyone with this access is subject to strict contractual confidentiality obligations and may be disciplined or terminated if they fail to meet these obligations. Exporting and deleting your information. You can export a copy of your information or delete it from your Google account at any time. You can export a copy of your content in your Google account if you want to back it up or use it with the service outside of Google. To delete your information, you can delete your content from specific Google services, search for and then delete specific items from your account using My Activity, delete specific Google products, including your information associated with those products, or delete your entire Google account. Retaining your information. We retain the data we collect for different periods of time depending on what it is, how we use it, and how you configure your settings. Some data you can delete whenever you like, such as the content you create or upload. You can also delete activity information saved in your account, or choose to have it deleted automatically after a set period of time. Other data is deleted or anonymized automatically after a set period of time, such as advertising data in our server logs. We keep some data until you delete your Google account, such as information about how often you use our services. And some data we retain for longer periods of time when necessary for legitimate business or legal reasons, such as security, fraud, and abuse prevention, or financial record keeping. When you delete data, We follow the deletion process to make sure that your data is safely and completely removed from our services or retained only in an anonymized form. We try to ensure our services protect the information from accidental or malicious deletion. Because of this, there may be delays between when you delete something and when copies are deleted from our active and backup systems. You can read more about Google's data retention periods, link provided, including how long it takes us to delete your information. Compliance and cooperation with regulators. We regularly review this privacy policy and make sure that we process your information in ways that comply with it. Data transfers. We maintain servers around the world, and your information may be processed on servers located outside the country where you live. Data protection laws vary among countries, with some providing more protection than others. Regardless of where your information is processed, we apply the same protections described in this policy. We also comply with certain legal frameworks related to the transfer of data, and they give a link for those legal frameworks. When we receive formal written complaints, we respond by contacting the person who made the complaint. We work with appropriate regulatory authorities, including local data protection authorities, to resolve any complaints regarding the transfer of your data that we cannot resolve with you directly. California requirements. The California Consumer Privacy Act requires specific disclosures for California residents. This privacy policy is designed to help you understand how Google handles your information. We explain the categories of information Google collects and the sources of that information in the link, Information Google Collects. We explain how Google uses this information in the link, Why Google Collects Data. We explain when Google may share information in the link, Sharing Your Information. Google does not sell your personal information. The California Consumer Privacy Act, CCPA, also provides the right to request information about how Google collects, uses, and discloses your personal information. And it gives you the right to access your information and request that Google delete that information. Finally, the CCPA provides the right not to be discriminated against for exercising your privacy rights. We describe the choices you have to manage your privacy and data across Google services in the link, Your Privacy Controls. You can exercise your rights by using these controls, which allows you to access, review, update, and delete your information, as well as export and download a copy of it. When you use them, we'll validate your request by verifying that you're signed into your Google account. If you have questions or requests related to your rights under the CCPA, you or your authorized agent can also contact Google. You can also find more information on Google's handling of CCPA requests, and a link is provided. The CCPA requires a description of data practices using specific categories. This table uses categories to organize the information in this privacy policy. Categories of personal information we collect. Identifiers such as your name, phone number, and address, as well as unique identifiers tied to the browser, application, or device you're using. Demographic information such as your age, gender, and language. Commercial information such as your payment information and a history of purchases you make on Google's services. Biometric information if you use to provide it, such as fingerprints in Google's product development studies. Internet, network, and other activity information such as your search terms, views and interactions with contents and ads, Chrome browsing history you synced with your Google account, information about the interaction with your apps, browsers, and devices with our services, like IP address, crash reports, and system activity, and activity on third-party sites and apps that uses our services. You can review and control activity data stored in your Google account in the My Activity link. Geolocation data, such as may be determined by GPS, IP address, and other data from sensors on or around your device, depending in part on your device and account settings. Learn more about Google's use of location information at this link. Audio, electronic, visual, or similar information, such as voice and audio information when you use audio features. Professional, employment, and education information, such as information you provide or is maintained through an organization using Google services at which you study or work. Other information you create or provide, such as the content you create, upload, or receive, like photos and videos or emails, docs, and spreadsheets. Google Dashboard, link provided here, allows you to manage information associated with specific products. Inferences drawn from the above, like your ad's interest categories. Business purposes for which information may be used or disclosed. Protecting against security threats, abuse, and illegal activity. Google uses and may disclose information to detect, prevent, and respond to security incidences, and for protecting against other malicious, deceptive, fraudulent, or illegal activity. For example, to protect our services, Google may receive or disclose information about IP addresses that malicious actors have compromised. Auditing and measurement. Google uses information for analytics and measurement to understand how our services are used, as well as to fulfill obligations to our partners like publishers, advertisers, developers, or rights holders. We may disclose non-personally identifiable information publicly and with these partners, including for auditing services. Maintaining our services. Google uses information to ensure our services are working as intended, such as tracking outages or reporting troublesome bugs or other issues you may report to us. Research and development. Google uses information to improve our services and to develop new products, features, and technologies that benefit our users and the public. For example, we use publicly available information to help train Google's language models and build features like Google Translate. Use of service providers. Google shares information with service providers to perform services on our behalf. Compliance with our privacy policy and other appropriate confidentiality and service security measures. For example, we may rely on service providers to help provide customer support. Advertising. Google processes information, including online identifiers and information about your interactions with advertising, to provide advertising. This keeps Google services and many of our websites and services you use free of charge. You can control what information we use to show you ads by visiting your ad settings, and the link is provided. Legal reasons. Google also uses information to satisfy applicable laws or regulations and discloses information in response to legal process or enforceable government requests, including to law enforcement. We provide information about the number and types of requests we receive from governments in our transparency report. Parties with whom information may be shared. other people with whom you choose to share your information, like docs or photos and videos or comments on YouTube. Third parties to whom you consent to share your information. Third parties to whom you consent to sharing your information, such as services that integrate with Google services. You can review and manage third-party apps and sites with access to data in your Google account. Service providers, trusted businesses or persons that process information on Google's behalf based on our instructions and in compliance with our privacy policy and any other appropriate confidentiality and security measures. Domain administrators, and they give a link here. If you work or study at an organization that uses Google services. Law enforcement or other third parties for legal reasons described in the sharing your information link. About this policy. When this policy applies. This privacy policy applies to all the Google services offered by Google LLC and its affiliates, including YouTube, Android, and services provided on third-party sites, such as advertising services. This privacy policy doesn't apply to services that have separate privacy policies that do not incorporate this privacy policy. This privacy policy does not apply to information practices of other companies and organizations that advertise our services, or services offered by other companies and individuals, including products or sites that may include Google services, be displayed to you in search results, or be linked from our services. Changes to this policy. We change this privacy policy from time to time. We will not reduce your rights under this privacy policy without your explicit consent. We always indicate the date the last changes were published, and we offered access to archived versions for your review. If changes are significant, we'll provide a more prominent notice, including, for certain services, email notification of privacy policy changes. Related privacy practices. Specific Google services. The following privacy notices provide additional information about some Google services, and they give links here to Chrome, the Chrome operating system, payments, Fiber, Google Fi, Google Workspace for Education, Read Along, YouTube Kids, Google accounts managed with Family Link for children under 13 or applicable age in your country. Voice and audio collection from children's features on the Google Assistant. If you're a member of an organization that uses Google Workspace or Google Cloud Platform, learn how these services collect and use your personal information in the Google Cloud privacy notices. There's a link to that. Other useful resources. The following links highlight useful resources for you to learn more about our practices and privacy settings. Your Google account link is home to many of the settings that you can use to manage your account. Privacy Checkup link guides you through key privacy settings for your Google account. Google's Safety Center helps you learn more about built-in security, privacy controls, and tools to help set digital ground rules for your family online. Privacy in Terms provides more context regarding this privacy policy and our terms of service. Technologies include more information about how Google uses cookies, technologies used for advertising, how Google uses pattern recognition to recognize things like faces and photos, how Google uses information from sites or apps that use